now. Wow, all these officers, they not just get shame at all. They bring disgrace to Nigeria Army and Nigeria Police Force, my people. Inside Lagos State, the whole Lagos State, now this one for just to happen. So I just talk to una so. Many people make we sit down, make we watch the video because we can't carry ourselves, go interview SP Benjamin, the person will be the spokesperson for police officer for Lagos State. Make we hear what it costs the gbege and how everything takes start, my people. Alright, SP Benjamin, before you tell us what transpired between these two officers, why do you think this kind of scenario usually happens?
Well, I would attribute it to some unruly officers that you can find in every organization. And each time this happens, there are laid down laws for dealing with them. So these officers are identified and made to pass through disciplinary measures. Like the one that you just showed, immediately I got across the PRO of its 1 division, Major Olaniyi Oshoba. He said the same thing, that, oh, don't worry, we're going to identify these officers and we'll take appropriate actions. So the laws are there to follow when these things happen. But to answer you simply, it's attributable to unruly officers that we find in these organizations.
Though you make mention of the law, if these people are aware that the law is no respecter of persons, will this kind of thing happen?
Well, I'll speak for my organization. We apprehend officers that go against the norm, that are excessive in their use of force, or that do things that are totally unprofessional. Sometime last year, an officer was captured on video trying to search somebody's phone. And when the person resisted, he even hit the phone out of the person's hand. And that officer was taken to force headquarters in Abuja, and it was dismissed. So I make bold to say that we don't shield errant officers. And in the particular video you just displayed, you would see that the police officers were not the aggressors. So we were actually being attacked. So like the PRO of its 1 Deep Nigeria Army said yesterday, that the officers would be identified and appropriate actions would be taken. So it's just a thing of if every organization would identify errant officers and punish them, I think this would be on a decline.
So tell us what actually transpired in this video.
Well, we've had a series of complaints about people driving against traffic on Kata Bridge. So the Lagos State Task Force was mandated to put a stop to it. And 2 days ago, they were on that road very early in the morning, and they saw this vehicle driving against traffic, and they stopped the vehicle. And the soldier in the vehicle got angry that despite seeing him in the vehicle, they still stopped the vehicle. And he gave a directive that they should allow the vehicle go. And it was totally ignored. He was in no position to give a directive. It's internal security. This is not war or anything. So he was absolutely in no position to give a directive. And he directed again that they should allow the vehicle go. And okay, so let's even assume that you're in a position to give directive. This directive is an unlawful one. And it was ignored again. And that got him angry. That despite what he was saying, he was totally ignored. And he decided to attack the police officer, which many would agree is an unwise thing, because he was trying to disarm an armed police officer. Totally unwise, totally reckless, and totally unsafe. But we would like to commend the restraint our men exhibited, because anything could have happened. The gun could have gone off. And it's totally surprising that this is coming from an infantryman. The badge on his sleeve shows that he belongs to the infantry corps. So he should have been more careful about weapons. But like I said, we appreciate the fact that our men exhibited restraint, because if something had gone awry, people would not be patient to listen to what transpired before it happened. People would just go, police have killed somebody again. They have moved from civilian to soldiers and all of that. So that was what exactly happened.
But you said the police was not the aggressor. But in this video, we saw the policeman giving back his own punch to the army officer. Between the police force and the army, is there any measure put in place to ensure that there is no superiority between these two security agencies?
Yes, regularly on a yearly basis, there are training programs, joint training programs. And these programs are done to ensure that we all get familiar with one another, and there's this esprit de corps, and there's this friendliness. Beyond training, even when programs happen, we always extend invitation to other agencies, and we do these programs together. Just earlier this week, the Lagos State Police Command held a stakeholders meeting on election security, and every security agency was represented there. So for me, I've been to a training program in Jaji, in an army settlement or army institution, and I was in the midst of majors, and naval officers, lieutenant commanders. Until today, we are friends. So these are things we do regularly. But be that as it may, you cannot rule out intelligence rivalry. It's not a Nigerian thing; it's worldwide. You would hear about CIA and FBI. It's everywhere. It's a thing that you cannot rule out. But we have training programs, we have social events, and many other things that we do together. Some would argue that these training programs take place only at the top, that the junior officers don't, but that's not true. At the junior level too, the last year when we did a show of force on the ban on the use of motorcycles in Lagos State, it was a joint show of force. The junior officers all came together from across the agencies, and they went out together, and they came back together, and by that time, many had exchanged numbers, many had become friends. So the measures are in place, but like I said at the beginning of this interview, you can't help having a few unruly officers who would always do it accordingly. For us, when we punish officers who do this, we publicize it. We are proud to say that we name and shame. We publicize it, that this officer that did this has been apprehended, has been suspended, or has been prosecuted. So I think that's what we need to do more to ensure that we don't have repeats of this kind of things.
All right, how should the police officer have behaved in response to that kind of attack on him?
Somebody is trying to take his rifle, and he held on tight to his rifle. So I would have done the same thing. I wouldn't allow anybody to disarm me. And other officers that were there had to fire a tear gas canister, and it dispersed everybody. So I would have done the same. There's nothing else we would have done, except you are suggesting that he should have fired his rifle, which would be too extreme in that situation. So it was totally a case of being attacked and defending yourself.
All right, SP, thank you so much for joining us on this program. People who don't hear from the horse's mouth, I bet make una drop una comment for inside our comment section. Make una not forget say this on our radio show and online television. Make una follow us for inside our Facebook and our Instagram. Don't forget say we